Friends, Lauren again on Corey, Pennsylvania. Getting on this recording kick the last few days. I had another auto harp I wanted to present to you, share with you. This is a Mark Faculty Zephyr Hill auto harp. Mark was a wonderful man, and the story behind this auto harp is that I had met him at Mountain Laurel. One of the first times I went there, knowing absolutely nothing about what I was doing and getting myself into. And I had this old Oscar Schmidt B model that was all black and sort of, the paint was wearing off and everything. So that was the first one that I tried to sand down and refinish. And first one that I converted, first auto harp that I ever tried to string myself, cut myself up when I was cutting the felts with a razor blade that didn't have a safety end on it, which is not the best idea. But I was proud of that auto harp, but for some reason I had set it up in the key of G, and then I tuned it up a half step just to see what it sounded like, and I liked how that sounded, and I liked some of the songs that I could do with it. But I didn't realize that if you tune it up to G sharp, you're now in the key of A flat, and so the chances of you running into another auto harp player with an A flat auto harp are slim and none, and Slim's out of town. So I just sat down on the outer edges of Mark's circle, and they were going around sharing tunes, and boy, they had some fine players in that group that Mark led. But he didn't let me sit out there by myself. At some point during that first time, he looked out at me and he said, "Would you like to do a song?" And I said, "Okay." And I started doing a song, singing a song on my A flat auto harp, and quickly realized nobody else was playing. And I thought, what had I done? What had I done to offend people? But I soon realized shortly thereafter that I needed to learn a little bit more about what were key friendly auto harp setups when you go out and play in groups at jams and festivals and so on like that. And so I got talking with Mark over the next few years and asking him for advice, getting information from him about doing things, and I think he kind of thought I was sort of an odd duck. I remember him saying at that auto harp that I brought the first festival at Mountain Laurel, I didn't do the best job on it, and as far as refinishing goes, and he later said it was the ugliest auto harp he'd ever seen. And I thought, that's pretty cool. If I can't be the best auto harp player or the best auto harp builder, making an auto harp as ugly as it can be, at least it's going in one direction anyway. And it wasn't long after that I received a big box in the mail I wasn't expecting. It had come up from Florida. And it had written on the top underneath, when you start to open it, "Toys for Todd." And I opened it up, and there was this Zephyr Hill Mark Faculty auto harp. It was unfinished. There was no finish on it. It was just the poplar wood. And it had no chord bars, had no strings, didn't have the fine tuners, didn't have any of the pins or anything. It was just the body. And he later told me that he sent it to me because he had accidentally scarred the harp when he was sanding it, and he didn't feel like he could sell that. And so he thought I might like it, because I couldn't afford at that time to buy a nice auto harp. And I always thought that generosity, that spirit of giving in the auto harp community was something I would forever treasure and always try to emulate. And not always having in my mind whatever the transaction has to be, like there's got to be something in it for me, something in it for you. We'll do it that way. It has to be some money exchange. There has to be some value that we both attach on it in order to get along with each other. Sometimes the value is just in the sharing and the giving. And so I took this auto harp, and I had this notion that I wanted an auto harp that looked like an old fiddle, something that had been around for a couple hundred years, even though the auto harp was not that old an instrument. So I got to working on it with a stain called Early American, and I started using a wax finish on it, and it got to looking the way it is. It's sort of unique in that way. The chord bars I made to match it. And I think when Mark saw it, he wasn't too happy about that because it didn't particularly represent the quality of his work. But I've loved this auto harp, and of all the other luthier auto harps that I've been able to buy and trade and sell and circulate and take around to festivals for people to play, this is one of the last of the luthier auto harps that I've held on to and would never part with because of its uniqueness to me. It's about that things being transactional. I've been listening about that lately, and how that's the way we seem to be going as a country. Everybody's got to have this what's in it for me mentality. What am I going to get for it? Why should I vote for this person if I'm not going to get that in return? Maybe some people can live that way, but not me. And not a lot of the musicians that I've met in this world of folk music and auto harp. So in this particular Woody Guthrie song, there's a mashup kind of three songs really. The lyrics to I Ain't Got No Home, Woody wrote sort of at the height of his powers. It's based on an old hymn that the Carter family recorded called And I Can't Feel at Home in This World Anymore. So that was the song upon which I Ain't Got No Home is based. And then, as an odd twist of fate, in the early 1950s, Woody was already at the beginning stages of his Huntington's disease and was struggling with his words and his ability to speak and his ability to write. But he and Marjorie and Arlo and the family at that point in his life had moved into an apartment complex in Queens called Beach Haven. And Woody was still sharp enough to recognize that what they had moved into was a red-lined community, a community that did not allow for anybody of color, anybody who wasn't white, to live there. And it was a community that was built and owned by a man named Fred Trump, whose name would become recognized in our country. Real estate, entertainment, and political life. So Woody, when he wasn't particularly able to put whole songs together, wrote a fragment of a song about Beach Haven. They didn't stay very long because he didn't particularly agree with that. Segregation as a way to go. So that verse has been added to I Ain't Got No Home, and then it will end with the verse that started it from I Can't Feel at Home in This World Anymore. I ain't got no home, I'm just rambling round. I work when I can get it, I roam from town to town. The police make it hard wherever I may go. and I ain't got no home in this world anymore. My brothers and my sisters are stranded on this road, hot and dusty road 1,000,000 feet have trod. The rich man took my home and he drove me from my door. I ain't got no home in this world anymore. 6 children I have raised, they're scattered now, they're gone. My darling wife to heaven she has flown. She died of the fever on the cabin floor, and I ain't got no world in this world anymore. Well, I mind in your minds, I gathered up your corn. I've been working, mister, since the day that I was born. Worry all the time like I ain't never done before. I ain't got no home in this world anymore. Now Beach Haven ain't my home, no, I can't pay the rent. My money's down the drain, my soul is badly bent. Beach Haven is Trump's tower where no black folks dare to roam. No, no, old man Trump, Beach Haven ain't my home. As I look around, it's mighty plain to see this world is a strange and a funny place to be. The cheating man gets rich while the working man stays poor. And I ain't got no home in this world anymore. Now here's the Carter family taking it back a few more generations. Oh Lord, you have known I have no other friend like you. Heaven not my home. Oh Lord, what can I do? The angels beckon me from heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. No, I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Donald Trump and Arlo Guthrie were born in the same part of Queens, New York, a year apart. One was born to a traveling folk singer, songwriter, activist, merchant marine, and the other was born to a real estate developer. One started his life with $400 million to do what he wanted to do with it, and the other started his life with a guitar and a gift of gab and a great treasury of songs to work from. I'll let you decide which American story is the American story that best represents the values that you aspire to. I know which American story represents the values that I aspire to, that I was able to enjoy with my connections to Mark Faculty and many other fine auto harp players. Catch you next time.